So I'm sorry if I wasn't able to make the share that I want to do for Friday on the Idra Rabbah. And I wanted to go back to the very beginning of where the Idra Rabbah started. He said, have you ever had a situation where you walked into or you had a premonition about something and you trembled a little bit? So it's a little bit like when a person, just a little bit of a reference to a person when they're confronted with the Shekhinah, there's a revelation of a different dimension, a higher, much higher dimension that your lowly self can't really appreciate, but sometimes this happens. Well, now we have a situation where Rabbi Shimon is drawn his group into this Idra Rabbah. The Shekhinah has come. There's a tremendous vibration there that is relative to the waves, the wavelengths of the presence of a force which was beyond our world. Now, he revealed, I'm going to read just a little bit today and repeat what he said was the secret of the secrets that he started to say. I will read again. We said it in the end of the last year, but it's so secret that it requires, maybe a few years of learning to be able to try to figure out what the different parts are that he said. So we're on this is the Zohar, this is regular Zohar and Parshas Niso. I know there's also a Idra that comes separately, and I urge anybody who's listening to find that in the Matok M'dvash. It's an absolutely tremendous piece of Torah. So now on page Kuf Mem Tes in the version that I have, we have this phrase. We're just going to do this today. It's a ta'ana. So he said we learn like this. It's like the same language that you see in the Gemara where it says Tanya, or the Tana. That the Tana, he's a Rebbe Shimon is a Tana. So he says Tana Atihu Datikin, the ancient of the ancient ones. We'll try to explain this a little bit, but it's a couple of years to try to really understand this. To me, that which is hidden inside of a hiddenness. Ad love zanin tikunai, when before the time of the tikkun, until the time came for that, before that. That is the kick, and then he writes in parentheses the malka of the king. V'itulin, and the crowns of crowns. Sherusa v'siyuma lohava. There was no beginning and there was no end. There was no sherusa, which is beginning. V'siyuma was no siyum, no end. B'hava maglif, that it was a carving on the Shire Bay, and something's left over in it. Paris kamei chad parsa, then was spread out before it a curtain, some kind of a veil. Ubal galev v'shir malchi, and there were carved out and were measured out. I don't know what malchi means, if it means kings. V'tikunai lo is kaima, but the tikkun that was affected there didn't last. So let's see if we could look at the Matok M'dvash and try to make some sense out of what this is saying. So it's a Tana, so we lamadno, we are learning. Atika datikin. Now, in the panoply of the Partsufim, the highest parts of the most panimistic parts of that we as human beings could reach, or try to come close to, it's called Atik, the ancient one, something like that. He said, Ki ha'atik shalatikim, so as we know, as we're learning in Shartanta and other places, that everything has everything else in it. So that, like this line that Rabbi Memran says, that you could take the cell of the eye of a sheep and make a whole sheep from it, because it has everything in it. So everything is in everything. So he says, Ki ha'atik shalatikim dahainu ak. What is the most ancient of ancient things? That hiddenness, which in the hiddenness is called Adam Kadma. Shuhu atek v'zakein yoser mepartsufim atek v'arich, which is much more ancient. In other words, it's much more at the beginning of reality, or what we call reality, than even the partsufim, which are called atek and arich. So this is called the atek of atek, which is the preliminary, what came before there was a before. And this is all for us, because in the actual spiritual world, There is no before and no after. When you get deeper, there's no beginning, there's no end. Shehem gam kene kroim atikim v'zekenim, because these ancient partsufim, which are called Atik and Eric Anpin, they're also, he says, they're also called ancient and old. Tamira de Tamirim, hiddenness of hiddennesses. V'hu tamer mislavish b'toch Atik v'arich, and it is hidden inside of these other two lower partsufim. So we get the concept now of inside and then being wrapped by something on the outside of it, but the inside is the glow of tremendous light of nothingness, as we said before, that of absolute perfection. So therefore it's inside of Atik and inside of Arich. So these are also hidden. And they are actually inside of all reality. The partsufim, what means the systems of Atzilus, is what we would think of as ultimate spiritual reality, but these realities are inside of those. So every time we say Panimi, we mean to closer to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is what we are striving for, is to come as close to perfection as possible. Ad lo zamen tikuni de malka. Now this starts to get off a little bit until there's a time comes where you're being able to rebuild the malka. Ad shelo hotzi Hashem macha chadash sha'al yada nisakta b'malacha shenishbru. So what does he mean here? Let's translate this word. It says, Ad lo zamen tikuni de malka, before there is a rebuilding. So I think the word tikkun really means to rebuild something, or that's the way I use it. Until the name Ma, there's a concept here called the Ma Chadash. So Ma is really, as we learned in the Sod class, that there's a way that you could spell the name Yud Kei Vav Kei with Alafim. Yud Vav Dalet Kei Aleph, Vav Aleph Vav Kei Aleph. If you add those numbers up, they come out to be the number 45, which is also the name Adam, man. So you see there's something very deep going on in these things, and this rebuilding process that rebuilds the brokenness, which is about to say, so it is the Ma, this Ma HaChadash, this new Ma, so this is a subject we haven't broached, and it's the fact of the basic Kabbalistic concept is that the spiritual world began by building a structure that to hold the light of Hashem that broke. And so now rebuilding that is really the job of the Jew. That's what we're doing. The Iturim, and then there were crowns of crowns. Avagam lo hotzia adayim afilo as itre taros. So what does that mean? The crowns still have not been revealed. Tahanas olam anikudim. So what is that? That is an olam anikudim. I urge everybody to listen to the shiurim. It'll take some time, but we're going to get there. On Sod, because the Sod we're going to get to the olam anikudim. Shuhu Shem Ben Ashach Biyatzel the Rishona. So the Nikudim comes from the name Ben. Now the Ben, we said before, is another set of letters of Havaya. It's spelled Yud Vav Dalet KK Vav Vav KK. Add that up, it comes to the number 52. 52 is also 2 times 26, which is the gematria of Yud Kei Vav Kei Pasha. The simple Yud Kei Vav Kei. And it's called, he has a little Rashi print here that a smaller print. Bakari Ituri Turim. So the question is, why is it called a crown of crowns? Why is it Nikudim called crowns of crowns? Visha Malchus Nikra Zatar, because Malchus is called a crown. Al Shem Sha'ataras Yisod should be called Partzuf. Now, we have an understanding that this is a really, really difficult thing to explain simply, is that if you have the basic spheros of the goof, or called Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yisod, there's 6 of them. And then there's also a 7th, which is called Malchus. So the Yisod, I guess the simplest way to say it, has an extension. This extension actually eventually becomes the parts of the Nukva. It becomes the female parts of. but it is an extension of the Yesod. It's called the Ataras of Yesod, the crown of the Yesod. So it wants to say that Malchus is called an Atara, and the Atara, the Itra, the Atara, in other words, the crown of the crown is the Ataras of Yesod. Let's see if that's what he said. Ataras of Yesod should be called Parva, Hibapachidas Malchus, should be also parts of the Malchus of every part of is called the Ataras of Yesod. It's an extension of the sexual organ of that. The way that we understand sex and the way that in our physical sense, it really does correspond, but it has much deeper implications in the world of Tuma that we live in than it does in the spiritual world. So the spiritual world is, we're talking the Olam HaKadosh. V'nikra iturim ki zeh Hashem ben hu hashorsh l'kol malchios, because this name Ben is really the root of all of those, and that's the reason why it's called the crown of crowns, because it came first. And inside of that Malchus were 7 other ones. Sheba Tachtonis Ta'ak, which refers to the Zion Tachtonos, the 7 lower spheres of Ak, which are again Chesed Gevurah Tiferes and Netzach Hod Yesod, and this Ataras Yesod, which is number 7. It is Malchus. And then after this develops, that we have this, comes out this name Ma. Where does it come from? Shuhu Choyakolol L'Sheva Yesodos, which was included in all of these 7 Yesods that are in the Sheva Tachtonis Da'ak, that are in the 7 lower spheros of Adam Kadmon. Choyakolul Mikol Havak, that each one of them was incorporated in all the Vak, which is the Vav Kitzvahs is again Chesed Gevurah Tiferes, Netzach Hod, and Yesod. So that's not so easy to process, but the words themselves are like what you would call Rosh Tevos. The words themselves are the beginnings of ideas that run very, very deep, and that's what you're getting when you're learning the Idris. You're getting the origins of all reality being said over here, and it's not something that you learn in a day. So it says Sharusa v'siyum lo hava. There was no beginning, no end. Oslo choyadayim hareishes shu olam atzilos. So we didn't have a beginning. What is beginning? The beginning is olam atzilos. V'kol shechein hasiyam shu olam hasiyah. And certainly there was no olam hasiyah. There's no the world that we live in. So we're talking about a time and a particular a time. We don't have time. Just a presence or a reality that became before time. It became before a beginning. It became before an end. So there was a time when there was no time and there was no space and there was nothing, but there was some substance, which we call Adam Kadmon. Kolomer shechadayim lo nisaktu olamos, that there is no tikkun for the olamos. We're talking about a time he's trying to describe as best that he can portray to someone low like myself. This is that he's trying to portray to show me what it was, what it could be, what I could possibly understand of the time before there was time, before there was a beginning and before there was end. And he would carve the Hanasha'ak ha'alakala oros shechoya lamata chameratibur. Now Ak is represented in the form of a human. As he has a rosh, he has a head, he has a body, which is called a toch, and he has a lower part, which is called the sof, his end. And from his belly button, which is the tibur, going downwards, there are all lights, because he is all composed of lights. He's only lights. Now, again, this is what Rabbi Memran wants to keep saying. He says that this really refers to like light waves. Not lights like we understand it, but waves of light, like the speed of light, like something that we can only understand it that way. But in and of itself, it's just whatever it is, but we could put words on it. We could say that it's light, and it has a certain wavelength, and it has a certain rapidity of how it goes, but we're way beyond where we sit, because we're moving slow, real slow. Our waves are very, very slow, and very physical and very thick, like we're moving through mud. Later on he's going to explain more. He's really going to explain the Eitz Chaim is going to explain this much better, or much simpler. But that there is a line, a diagonal line that cuts across the diaphragm of these waves, as if it was possible to say that. All the lines that the waves that are below this, which would be the lower level of lights, would be lights which once again are slower moving, or let's say I'm just speaking metaphorically, that are slower moving, or that their length of their waves are longer or shorter, which makes it work, but they're lower. They're lower. The lower level. The higher level is very close to nothing at all. So he pulls all of the lights that are down below, and he's able to pull them up. This is what he does. He pulls us like pulling your legs up, what's inside of your legs, up into your chest cavity. So that they carve it out. They like take out a section down below, and they leave the little below down without anything in it. Doesn't mean there's no structure there, but the lights, the vibrations, the waves that are in that area are all pulled up to the top and making a sort of a pressure chamber. A Mishayir Bay that he leaves over, V'hainu Mishayir Ba'atzmo, Shechashem Ma V'chashem Ben HaKololim Shehoyim Mitibura Da'aka Lamata. So he's telling us a fact we see in the Eitz Chaim that from the Tibur of Ak going downwards, you have these two names that we had mentioned before. One is the name Ma, which is Yud Vav Dalet K Aleph Vav Aleph Vav K Aleph. The other one is the name Ben, which is Yud Vav Dalet K K Vav Vav K K. Add them up. One comes out to be the name Ma. Ma is a number, 45. Ben is a number. It's a number 52. Each one of them represents that. And where are they found? They're found in the lower wavelengths. That's what I'm going to phrase. And he pulls all of that up. And he brings them up in the secret of a concept which is called Mayim Nukvin. So in Kabbalah, any time that we talk about raising up lights, and the reason why that lights we see in our world is when we pray and when we seek God and we speak, if we're Brezav Chassidim and we're misbaited before Hashem and we're seeking answers, this is the concept of Mayim Nukvin. It's the concept. Nukvin always means a nekev is a hole. So it's the idea of something that's empty, seeking fulfillment, seeking answers, seeking strength, seeking light. That's the concept of Malchus in general. It's the world that we live in. It's to seek God. It's not right in front of us. We have to look for it. So he says this is the concept called Mayim Nukvin, water, female waters. And he says, "V'yihyo b'bechinas zun t'chatzilus ha'olam la'aba v'iva b'sod man." This is the same idea as when we had the Zachav and Nukav Etzilus, that they go up to the higher level, which is again Zer Anpin and his Nukva, going up to higher level, which is Abba v'Ima, which is up above them, who are Mashpia to Zun. It would be the same idea as you and me seeking Hashem for an answer, because the answers are coming from not this world, because this world didn't just pop up by itself. It developed out and gets all of its sustenance from a higher energy source. They said we live because there's energy inside of us. If Hashem takes the energy away, we're gone. That's what it means when you leave the world. The energy goes someplace else. Your energy, your personal energy, goes there too. But your physical body is also innervated by this energy, and when the energy leaves your physical body, the energy, which is your essence really, is somewhere else, and your body's still here. But then he says these hard words. The smav the sag. So this is the sag ma'u ben of sag. Now, sag, these are all different combinations of letters. I'm not going to go into them. Kolel, Yihu bebechinas Yisrael Sabat Davuna will become the aspect of the immediate benefactor to the worlds that are lacking. Av the Saga Kolol, and also this another name, which is all of these names created that we find in Shartanta. This Av the Sag, Im Kol Ha'ava Kolo Yihya Bebechinis Abba V'im Eloyin, all of this will become like an aspect of the ultimate source for us that we can put our fingers on, of where we need the Shefa from. V'yis Yachdo Ha'abba V'im Eloyin the Ak, so then they create, as a result of this pressure that's coming up, that is asking and needing because it's wanting, it causes what we call a yichud in the upper worlds, which is a mating, just like what we have here, where we produce children. So we have a mating in the spiritual world. And this mating that's taking place in the spiritual world reproduces also. So what does it reproduce? It reproduces bracha, shefa, answers, light. It produces all of that. V'yolido as habas techila. So first, it gives birth to the daughter. That is the female concept. Shehi chitzoni shem ben hakoilel. Now we have another concept here. He says that it's the daughter represents the outside. It's like in the Gemara they say that Rav referred to his wife. I don't know if it was Rav or one of the Amoraim referred to his wife as the Beisahu. The Beisahu in Aramaic, and that Aramaic meant his house. So a woman houses, and if you're anybody who are married or if you're a woman, you know that your house is really important to you. Well, you also house children. So you house everything. That's the female concept. But in order to house something, you need a house, and you need to fill it up, and you need to get it right. And you need to be able to have something implanted in you. This is the concept of male and female, because the male aspect is the aspect that carries the seeds. And so the first thing is that we create the house. Now, if you learn the Sharia Gulim, then you know that first comes a circle, which is the concept of a house, and then comes a line, which is the concept of the seed. So he said, which is the Kitzonius of the Shem Bema Kolel, Sheyatza Derech Enayim. So now he's going to great detail that we will learn if we're learning in the Sod class. The Naasa Olam HaNekudim, and it makes an Olam, a universe, which is called the Olam HaNekudim. So don't think for a second that when the Medrash says that before that Hashem created this world, He created many other worlds and destroyed them, He's not talking about the people who used to live on Mars or Venus. Talking about this situation. It's talking about spiritual worlds. Spiritual worlds are particularly, he's talking about are two worlds that we haven't discussed them all, but he's discussing right here the world of Adam Kadmon. And we thought he's not talking about the world of what's called the Ukudim, the binding. And now he's talking about the world of Nekudim. So each of these has multiple worlds, tens of thousands of worlds in them. The Nekudim break. As a result of that, that's what the Medrash is going on. So now going back to what he was saying, that after the lights have now come up, that is the energy source that was in the lower places, seeking to be fulfillment, comes up into the higher regions, as what we call Maya Nukvim. So then what he does is he closes up the opening, and he makes a separation, like a curtain, between what was originally down below, where the lower waves were down below, and now brought them all up into where the upper waves are. And then there's a tremendous amount of light here. Parish Lefanav Ka'ayin Puroches, he makes like a curtain, Achaz Be'emsech of a goof of B'makom Tibura B'bifnim. So inside he makes like a curtain at the place of his navel. Kadeshlo Yachsuro Kola Oras the Redis Lamata, in order for the lights that not going to go straight back down to where they came from. Ela Kavi Hatsorach B'Mavur Laholon, they only go down according to what he needs them for. That is a certain amount. Those lights can sort of like trickle back down. Uba Gala Vashir Malchin. In this place, in this pressure chamber of light that is created in the goof of Ak, So now he created there under tremendous pressure all of these light waves. And this causes the lowest level of waves, called its name Ben, which I said before is Yud Vav Daled, KK, Vav Vav, KK. That's what it is. Does that make sense? Well, that's a whole other story, how it makes sense. That's our job, is to figure out how it makes sense. But that's what it is. And all of this value, whatever this light is, comes out from the eyes of Ak. It gets forced out, and the most outer portion of it goes out. It goes out of Ak. It's not in Ak anymore. Shehu atzmois hamalachim shemesu. So this is actually the utter essence of the light of the panemius of the kings that are going to die. Now remember, this started out with talking about the main secret in Wasatish is contained in the kings, the 7 kings that ruled in Eden before there was ever a king in Eretz Yisrael. And this is all Rabbi Shimon is telling us this is a tremendous metaphor. And the entire secret of reality is contained in this, but this is our subject, is to figure out what to do with it. So then there's a certain portion of this light in the pressure chamber of Ben that comes out through the eyes, which is going to be the essence of the kings that we're talking about that are going to break. And they go out and they spread and they fall down. Where do they go? They go back to the same place they originally are at, which is from the Tibur of Ak going downwards, but they're on the outside, not on the inside anymore. And then the lights that were up above, that were pushed up above, that he brought up above Ak, brought this up. This is Eibishter doing all of this, but we call it Ak. So in the Ak, all this was brought up to the top. Some of it came out through the eyes and came back down to the place where they originally came from, down below the Tibur. On the outside, though. Then the rest of the lights that were up in this pressure chamber go back down, he says, below the Tibur, inside again. So now there's a Ben inside from the Tibur, the Matok M'dvash, and there's a Ben on the outside of the Tibur, the Matok M'dvash. And the light that's inside of Ak is shining through the walls of Ak, so to speak, outside to the lights, to the Shem Ben, which is on the outside. The Tikkun below is Kaima. So now all of this rebuilding, this building process that we've done here, and we brought this pressure chamber, we created that, the Eibishter created this pressure chamber inside of Ak, and some of the light came out from Ak, and now it's going to build new worlds out there, and it's going to be fed from the original lights that are still inside of Ak, because the more that you're panimi to Ak, obviously the greater the power of the light is. It's shining through, and it gets diminished as it's shining through the walls of Ak, but at the same time it's building up the lights there. But this, he says, shall call parts of Nishbro because it doesn't last. Now the way he's counting from this area is like 7 different pieces, 7 different spheros. Those are spheros we've mentioned several times before, which is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Yisod, and the Ataras Yisod, which is the Malchus. They break. The light is going to come later from this light that is shining to them, and so on and so forth. We're going to see how they work together, how they're trying to hold the light and manifest something that is going to be strong, and they can't, and they break. And subsequently the light falls into what we call the Kali or the Klipos. It falls into the external world, the world of Tuma, and that's a situation that we have now, and this is the basic secret of Kabbalah, is that our job is resurrecting these and bringing them back. So that's a share. Thank you. With a little bit more on the liberation of the Idra.